went to 3 weddings this past weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That is a lot of weddings in one weekend.
I felt like I was giving less energy to each one, like, than the one before, like Friday. Friday, I was like, man, I'm just getting after it. And then Saturday is like, not so much. And then by Sunday, I was like, I think we better leave after the meal. Not feeling too well.
Maybe water.
Welcome back into another episode of Where the Game Lives On, the official podcast of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, coming to you from episode, I don't even know what, season 3 here. Season 4 coming to you again after the first of the year, by the way. Can you believe that we're already like down to like the end of the year a little bit?
Hard to believe that. I mean, it seems like it goes by quicker and quicker every single year, but yeah, we are. I mean, Christmas music's going to be playing before too long.
Don't even say that. Don't even say that. What do they say? What's the saying? The days are slow, the years are fast.
Always. Yep.
Yeah.
They definitely are.
Taylor Frederich joining us again. Thanks for sitting down.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Always enjoy being a part of this.
It's been a minute. You've aged since we
I have aged, celebrated a birthday last week. So yes, have aged, enjoyed a weekend celebrating a little bit, and happy to be back in the office.
Did you have to I shouldn't say did you have to. Did you get to do like any like trunk or treats or?
So we have not done that. We did a little bit of a fall party on Saturday with the kids at a friend's house, and then there wasn't any really trick or treating. It was just kind of like a gathering. But Thursday, I think Thursday's Halloween, right? Yeah. So we've got a school party, Halloween, and then I know that we'll do some trick or treating with the kids on Halloween.
Yeah, I saw the Elsa and the Olaf.
Elsa and Olaf.
That's funny.
Yeah, they try. My wife she loves holidays. So she she tried to convince me to be a part of it, and not that I didn't want to, but she did want us to kind of be the full Frozen ensemble, gotcha. and do that whole song and dance. But we're just gonna let the kiddos do Halloween.
What would you have been? Who would you have dressed up
Kristoff.
I don't know it well enough.
Your time's coming.
I know it's because I don't have 3-year-old children. So. Oh my gosh, I see everywhere. Like I think that's the number one though. Is the Elsa.
That's like a modern day like Lion King, one of those movies and stuff that's going to be playing for forever.
Transcends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Are you one of those people though? Like, do you start celebrating Christmas right after? Like November 1st, are you
so up the tree? I think that's probably the answer is yes. Okay. But I think that's probably a lot to do with growing up in Branson. It was like, very much like this. I mean, I guarantee you the city of Branson has those little star lights on the light poles already.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, it's one of those things. I think it's like been driven into my mind that driving to school or whatnot in the morning is a great, in grade school, elementary school, whatever it is. Man, Christmas music was on the radio November 1.
Yeah. Well, and that just kind of like encapsulates the end of the tourism season down there. It's the last thing people go down there for until it kind of gets quiet. But anyway, if you haven't been keeping up with everything going on at the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, on Monday of this week, we announced our latest class of inductees for our St. Louis enshrinement presented by Great Southern Bank. Thank you to those good people. We'll have a link to that in the podcast description below. You can also check out more information about that latest class on our social media channels. Let's jump into some sports news. A lot of stuff going on right now. I think it was Monday night was like they call it a sports equinox.
Yep.
We had basketball, we had hockey, we had football, and we had World Series baseball. Take your pick from those. I'm actually going to jump off on a topic I want to talk about though.
Sure.
You watch Bronny James? LeBron, what do you think about it? What do you make of it?
So I did. I will admit I tuned into the first game and kind of watched the presentation, the pomp and circumstance of the father and son duo playing for the first time. I do like that JJ Redick made that initial one very, very short and kind of like let it happen and then pulled it and just kind of, business as usual. But it's a neat thing. You see a lot of people on, one side or the fence of it. There are some people out there who think that Bronny's going to have a long standing career. Mm-hmm. There's some that obviously think he's going to very much fade off into, nothing. Nothing. Once LeBron, kind of finally phases out, whenever that might be, but. Really neat for him. Again, who knows how sustainable he's going to be. Yeah. What do you think of it?
I don't know. I definitely just think it's really cool, especially because it's something that's so seldomly seen in sports, never been seen in basketball. I mean, it's significant enough. Like I'm watching a regular season basketball game.
Yeah, early on.
Like, I'm never watching a regular season basketball game.
And it's things like that like the league needs. Everybody sits there and talks about the meaningless games at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, whatever it is. And I mean, there are storylines like that that help the cause of the NBA, and it's helping viewership. It's got eyes on ball early, which doesn't happen a whole lot,
Yeah, it's in terms of his career, I don't know. I think Bronny definitely is very projectable. I think he's not as much of a finished product as some of the guys we see come out of college. I definitely think there's talent there. We've talked about it. I don't know who. I don't remember what episode. He's gonna have to be a 3-and-D guy. He's gonna have to. I think people are already impressed with his passing skills, which is weird because he's kind of a 2-guard, not really a point guard per se. But hey, if you facilitate and you create offense, I mean,
find your role in it. And I think that's exactly, let's face it, is Bronny ever going to be a first team All-NBA guy?
Odds are not like
probably not. Yeah. Dad's out there having triple doubles over, at 40 or what, at whatever it is. So like, but can he find a sustainable enough position in the league, whether that be with LA or somebody else?
Yeah.
That, fits into the role, 3-and-D, D up, get in there, play not a huge amount of minutes, but again, contribute whenever you're out there. Yeah. You can make a long career out of that.
Yeah. So do you think LeBron is done now though? Like, do you think this is the last year?
They're winning a lot of ball games. So like I don't think that, he's quote unquote done. But you're seeing not necessarily a resurgence because Anthony Davis played a lot of games last year. He's playing really well. I think that you're going to start to obviously see a step back in LeBron, but it wouldn't surprise me if he rattles off another 2 or 3 years playing. I mean, it really wouldn't. And I think that's obviously, determined on health and success. I do think that, if not to switch gears here, but if I'm like Aaron Rodgers right now, kind of an equivalent, right? Mm-hmm. Older guy in the league, like right now, that, the Jets' success might be, having Rodgers track, hey, is this something I want to continue? LeBron could have that kind of same mentality in terms of, hey, if we're winning ball games and giving chances for rings, why not stick around and play? Yeah.
And that's exactly where I was going with it. I would agree totally. I think more so it's about the success. Then I think he's one of a kind, generational talent. Yep. And I think he's done an excellent job over the years of taking care. I mean, think about it. Like LeBron hasn't really missed a lot of time in what is this year? 22?
22, yeah.
Yeah. And he hasn't missed a lot of time from significant injuries. I don't think that his body's necessarily going to fail on him. You might see some decline. That's a given. Right. But I think if they continue to have success, if they can push for playoff runs, like the year they had last year, if you follow that up with a similar performance, I think this could be the end. But already overreaction, JJ Redick, I think, has made a huge impact on their offensive efficiency. just from watching one game and a couple other clips here and there, it just looks like their offense flows a little bit more. They're running a little bit more of like actual plays to kind of get open looks. And he's got young guys around him, right? That can definitely kind of help carry the load through the longevity of the season. Yeah, we'll see.
I've been impressed, honestly. JJ, everybody kind of had that, I guess, question mark. And I think it's still out there, that question mark regarding JJ Redick. Mm-hmm. But, you saw a couple nights ago, whenever the Lakers were playing the Suns, JJ comes down on LeBron on the floor for not shooting. It's just like, so I think JJ's coaching kind of everybody the same. And I do think that he kind of has the team's respect early, which is big. And, as long as you have your superstar, and obviously LeBron kind of buying into the JJ Redick, let's face it, he obviously had some kind of play in getting him there. As long as you have him bought in, I think that that's going to do wonders for not only JJ Redick in his career moving forward, but especially this year, young in his career.
Yeah. Something that's definitely interesting to me, and this is kind of shifting gears, but going off of JJ Redick, something that you see in basketball very prevalently and see it in baseball sometimes is whenever you have a player who quickly goes into the coaching ranks and climbs up to a head coaching position. Never see that in football. Some sports you never see that at all, but it's very and I don't know if it's a trend of late or if it's always kind of just been a fact. I really don't know well enough, but like the Guardians have Stephen Vogt as their head coach, and like he was playing like 2 years ago.
Right.
It's just odd to me sometimes. I think it's just the character of the person, really.
Yeah. And, I think that obviously plays a lot into it. And, right, wrong, or indifferent, JJ had a lot of people's respect while he was playing, and that started at Duke. A lot of people obviously he carried that mantra of people hated him and whatnot, but oftentimes with hate comes respect. And again, I think that oftentimes that plays a huge role in those, players turn coaches, especially at that top level early.
Yeah, for sure. Did you see Dwayne Wade's statue? He got unveiled.
It was
bad.
It was really bad. It was really bad. I shout out to Harry Weber. That's
seriously.
Obviously, I know it's a tough thing to do, but they've got to do something about that, right? They just can't.
I don't think they can. That's a PR nightmare. If you're like, if your team puts out like an announcement that like, hey, just so you know, where there's going to be some like remodeling,
we're going to decapitate Dwayne Wade. I don't know. But it was not good. I wonder what he thinks about it. I saw some pictures, and we know a little bit about the process, having gone through some of it and naming legends and stuff. So we know a little bit of it. I saw whether it's the clay or whatever, it looked a lot like him at one point. So I don't know what goes into that process, but something was a little off with that.
Well, and what we know too is that like when there's a Missouri sports legend's name, there's a process that happens where there's like a proof and approval, and so you wonder if that happened or like. If that was his first time seeing it.
Yeah, I don't know if here's what sculptor went off script or what.
Here's what I'll say. When they pull back the curtain like that, and instead of like being mesmerized at what you're looking at, when you're like looking at other people and being like, is that like, and people were like, is that the right thing? Like,
that's
I was dumbfounded. Like
look.
And the internet just had a heyday with it. Like they were like posting pictures of like the Miami Big Three and then like stitching D Wade's.
It's almost like, and not necessarily similar, but it's almost like the crying Jordan face, right?
Oh,
the people put, it's almost like that's what they're doing with the, just putting that face.
Just like they were strapping that statue like on his wedding pictures. I was like, come on.
That's tough look for Dwayne Wade, but hey, he's got a statue in front of the arena, I guess.
No,
so good for him.
I think at that point you probably don't care a whole lot. You're like, I'm immortalized. Like
probably not, but don't you know that his boys are dogging on him?
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. I have to imagine.
Well, the Chiefs won again this past Sunday. Gosh, I don't know. the Chiefs, could they go undefeated?
Yes. I mean, they could. Yeah, they could. Now, there are teams that are built a little bit better to beat the Chiefs. One being in the division, who I think is playing really well right now, is Chargers. So you have to go to Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there are, without a doubt, I don't know if Houston's at home or away. But there are some games out there that are certainly losable. And this past Sunday, I think kind of proved that anything can happen on any given week. The Browns,
the Cleveland
Browns, beating Baltimore. I'm not sure that anybody saw that happening. I'm in a pick'em league with, I think there's like 22 people in this league, and all you have to do is just pick the winner or the loser.
Yeah.
Every single person picked the Ravens. So it's just like, again, nobody necessarily saw that game coming. So with that being said, I wouldn't have been surprised if the Raiders would have clipped us, last week.
Yeah.
So look, it's a lot. It's hard to go, 16, 17-0, whatever it is. You're gonna have a game where things aren't clicking, and right now teams are having to play, and it hasn't happened in 13 games, but teams are having to play near perfect to beat a Chiefs team that is not hitting on all cylinders right now. And I do think they've got the ability to run the table. Defense is playing phenomenal. Offense is still just kind of chugging right along and doing enough. They're doing enough to win. Again, going undefeated is tough, really tough to do. But at some point, you're sitting there, 7-0, let's say they rattle off the next 5, let's say, and they're sitting there, and now it's, you're kind of down the stretch, and you're sitting there, and like at some point, you might debate, do we go for it? Hey, if playoffs are, people resting, whatever, at some point you kind of got to go there and go, hey, we're not only going for history on a three-peat, but how sweet would it be of a three-peat and an undefeated 20-0, 19-0, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah. So, and I think you were definitely alluding to kind of what I was in posing the question, which is like, it's just really hard to go undefeated in the NFL. Like, it's hard to go on the road and get wins, even though the Chiefs kind of had a home game this past weekend at Allegiant Stadium. But it's just, any given Sunday, right? It's all about that mentality, and just like, there's so many talented teams. The NFL is the most like evenly based, and so anybody can beat anybody. And I think that, to do it over the stretch of an entire, I don't even remember. I feel like there was like a Peyton Manning Colts team, and maybe like a Drew Brees Saints. I don't remember the last like team.
The Patriots team, they got beat by the Giants in the Super Bowl. That was the Patriots' only loss that year to Eli Manning. So they lost in the Super Bowl. But to that tune, there have been several teams, kind of, let's flip it on its head a little bit. There have been several teams who have been terrible. Right. I mean, just absolutely awful. They've been 0-10 or whatever through the first, 10 games. They say it's harder to go 0-16 than it is to go 16-0, just because for that very reason, you can kind of stumble into a win, by chance, and just to essentially play perfect, through the entire, and avoid injury. Right now it seems like, and this is always the case, I'm sure, but it seems like players are dropping like flies out there this year. So again, you stay healthy, and you keep 15 at the quarterback position, and you give yourself a chance every single game. Yeah,
I definitely think our answer will be the same here. And we'll keep it brief. The biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs, repeating right now, is
In the AFC or just overall. The Detroit Lions. Yeah, without question. They're just, I mean.
You want to talk about a team that is hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that Baltimore obviously took a little bit of a step back in, I think, everybody's mind now. But man, the Lions are
good team.
Rolling.
Good team.
They, I think that I saw a little clip of Dan Campbell, kind of being a little bit giddy about the potential of Detroit signing a pass rusher, or trading for a pass rusher.
Yeah.
Over the next week. I think the trade deadline's like in 6 days. From now. If they happen to get, that kind of missing puzzle piece from Aiden Hutchinson being gone, look out. And I mean, hell, they don't need him right now. I mean, they don't need him. They're very much proving that they can go out there and score 50 points a game.
Yeah.
And offensively just crush you. So
didn't the Detroit Lions go 0-16?
See that? Yeah. And I mean, like that's just a couple years ago, and talk about somebody's just resurgence of a career, Goff gets basically shipped out of LA, after leading them to a Super Bowl. And it just, whenever that trade happened, I kind of thought that Jared might,
go to have his career die,
find his way out of the league.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, just a few years ago, it's like, the Cleveland Browns are where quarterbacks go, they're where quarterbacks, go to die. So it's just like, there was kind of that mentality a little bit with Jared Goff, and kudos to him, kudos to Dan Campbell, and that kind of atmosphere that he's created up there. And, along obviously with success, comes fun, but I don't know if anybody in the league is having more fun than the Detroit Lions right now.
Yeah, seriously. And like some of those games, just like exciting games to watch. This past weekend, I think they ran for like something crazy, like 200 and some 85 yards or something crazy.
Explosive. And they've got several guys that can do it too. Yeah. So just a ton of weapons on the Detroit Lions. So look out, NFC, and that division Detroit, Vikings, Green Bay. I mean, they're in a heck of a division. So, it's not all clear roads ahead for them simply in the division.
Yeah, but it just goes to show too, like you just have to make really good decisions, end over end. Like they send Jared Goff and like a fluffer pick, to get Matt Stafford, who is a great quarterback, but he is undoubtedly on the back end of his career. Jared Goff looks great. And they do all kinds of things like that. Like they get David Montgomery, right? And Swift is gone. And it's like, what's that? Is that a good move or whatever? And yet all these guys are just producing. And it's,
And those are the guys that, you got to hit on. And those, those are the GM roll the dice type of acquisitions that, hey, those do wonders and those win Super Bowls. Yeah. I mean, decisions like that come to fruition.
Do you watch Hard Knocks? They've got like the Hard Knocks in season and stuff now. I would pay premium to be able to see the day-to-day operations in the Detroit Lions facility. Just to hear Dan Campbell, like how he addresses his team all the time.
I mean, everything. And he is obviously like the most passionate guy, whenever he's coaching anybody, everybody. But yeah, they've created such a brotherhood almost. It seems like there that everybody's bought into the organization. Everybody's bought into the mentality that Dan Campbell, like I remember when he started, we're going to bite your kneecaps off type of thing. And I mean, that's exactly what I feel like you're getting when you play Detroit on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. And I think because of him alone, it's hard to not root for Detroit. We're literally sitting here saying they're the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs three-peating. We'd like to see them three-peat without a doubt.
And we're sitting over here kind of giddy about the Detroit Lions, which is like, again, it's a weird thing. Again, that one time, not so long ago, they were the laughing stock of the NFL. Yeah. Detroit, you're playing Detroit this week? chalk it up for a W. Like it was just like that's what it was.
Yeah.
But now they're the most feared team in the NFL.
Well, maybe currently. Yeah. I'll agree.
Give me a Lions Chiefs Super Bowl and we'll be happy.
Yeah, for sure. We'll switch gears one more time to the Fall Classic. It's already 3-0. Yeah, I said it last week before the series started. I liked the Dodgers. The Dodgers look like they're in control of the series. Have you watched any of the games? Did you even know we were in the World Series?
Yes, I did. I did. I will say I paid a little bit of attention, especially just because again, you have the premier, the premier matchup. Yeah. You've got New York, you've got LA.
Yeah.
So again, I've been paying a little bit of attention to it. Going down 3-0, New York's got a heck of a uphill climb, especially whenever you have the best player on the planet playing for the Dodgers and your quote unquote best player and Aaron Judge is decided to take the series off.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the storyline to me too, is like you got those two juggernaut players on each side, and Shohei Ohtani hasn't like lit the world on fire. But he's been more productive.
He was basically like Aaron Judge. I mean, keep in mind, the series before last, the champion series.
Yeah.
I think he was like 0-22 with scorers and or with runners in scoring position. Very similar to kind of how Aaron Judge is kind of slumping right now. But those Dodgers, they had the Freddie Freemans, the Mookie Betts, those guys who come in there and play a huge role and.
Former MVPs, by the way.
And fill in the gaps where it seems as if New York just can't put it together right now.
Yeah. Well, and the Yankees have an excellent team and have pieces, but like when you're facing the Dodgers, you're facing an ace pitcher almost every night.
Right.
And whether they go 4 innings or whether they go 8, it's like you're still, having to compete with this loaded offense. Is just like they just continue to keep coming at you. And then you got a guy like Tommy Edman in the 9 hole and he's producing, and it's just, what do you do? But I tell you what, I hate it because I feel like the baseball postseason this year has been so good, and then it's going to be a short series potentially. But I got home. I told you I had weddings this past weekend. I got home Friday night to see that walk-off grand slam, and that was like the craziest moment. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't top David Freese Game 6, but it's probably one of the coolest World Series moments I've ever seen.
It's almost like that shot right there was a sweep.
That was the kill shot.
Yeah, it was in game 1, and like you had a kill shot in game 1, and from there it's almost like
you're stumbled and you're
stumbled, and like all of a sudden like they go back, the Yankees go back out there for game 2, and they're like, remember what happened last time we were out? What happened last time we were out here? And it just, you hope that they obviously were able to kind of turn her around and make a series out of it. But I don't see it happening, unfortunately.
Anyway, we've made it to the end of our episode. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for joining us. New episodes of Where the Game Lives On every Wednesday, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We've got lots of things happening here at the end of the year around the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Some exciting events coming up, including our Deck the Hall Christmas trivia night. You can sign up for that if you'd like to be a part of some Christmas movie trivia. You can just call us at our main line. But follow us on socials, stay up to date with all that stuff that's going on. And be sure to leave us a review as well, Taylor. Thanks for joining us. It's always a good one.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I know our views will spike up.
Play it on repeat for the kids every night.
They've got like their little white noise machine, but it's playing Where the Game Lives On.
Absolutely.
We'll get you next time on another episode of Where the Game Lives On.